If you're thinking about moving to Hawaii, I'm giving you 15 things that you need to know before you get here. And this is the stuff that the locals know. Secret stuff like when you're going to Waikiki and you can't find anywhere to park, there's a couple secret spots that you're pretty much guaranteed to find a parking spot. I got plenty more stuff and tips and tricks for you if you're thinking about living in Hawaii right now. What's going on? Welcome to the Living in Hawaii channel. If you're new here and new to me, this channel is all about what it's like to live in Hawaii, eat, sleep, play, breathe, everything that you need to know, the up, down, left, and right. If you're not new here, welcome back. Make sure you all hit the like button. It helps anybody else looking for this information be able to find this video. Hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so that you get notified anytime that I upload a new video on this channel. And look, we talk to so many people reaching out, either thinking about making that move to Hawaii or they've already decided they're making that move and need help finding a place to live. If that sounds like you can reach out. You can send us a text, you can send us a DM, you can schedule your own Zoom down in the description below. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when moving to Hawaii. First things first, let me give you a little bit of a geography lesson when it comes to Hawaii. So there are actually 8 major islands, but 132 overall, and even that number is a little bit controversial. Some people say 137, some people 128, but we say 132 here on this channel, and 8 major islands. And some of those that you may have heard of are Oahu or Maui, but let me go ahead and pull this up and we're gonna go over the 8 major islands and I'll name them out for you right now. Starting on the bottom right, you're gonna have Hawaii, or what is also known here to us as the Big Island. It is the biggest island, and we just simply call it that, the Big Island. And then when you head a little bit northwest, that's when you're gonna hit Maui, okay? And right next to Maui, you're gonna have Kaho'olawe. That's gonna be sort of under the southwest point, okay? Right above Kaho'olawe, you're gonna have Lanai, and then right above Lanai, you're gonna have Molokai. Next to Molokai, you're gonna have Oahu, and then heading a little bit more out west into the Pacific, that's where you're gonna have Kauai. Last island, all the way out there of the 8 major islands, is going to be Ni'ihau. Of those major islands, or the 8 major islands, Oahu, or what you probably call it or heard it say Honolulu. Honolulu is a county which we're going to get into, but the island of Oahu and Maui are probably ones that you've heard of the most. And then Kauai is another one that you're going to see on a lot of the vacation stuff because Kauai is really beautiful. But overall, those are the 8 major islands to help you get oriented to where you may be looking to live. Number 2 on our list to help you fit in more like a local is going to be how to say some of these words and speak them correctly out here in Hawaii. So what I just said was actually not correct, right? When we talk about Hawaii, right, we don't want to say Hawaii or anything like that, or Hawaii. That's not necessarily the correct way to say it. And if you want to sound a little bit more politically correct, in terms of the alphabet, Hawaii actually only has 12 letters in their alphabet. V or W's are actually sounded more like V's, I's are actually sound more like E's, and it's just kind of the way a lot of these are pronunciated. So the actual word of Hawaii is Hawaii, Hawaii, right? And that's going to be easier for you for a lot of these words if you break them down into 2 or 3 letter segments. It's going to help you sound out a lot better. So for the word Hawaii, it's going to be Hawai apostrophe I. Break them down into sections. Hawaii, right? So we got some other ones here too to help you out. If you're driving down the highway, you're probably going to see this sign when you're heading towards town, or what we call, Waikiki, downtown Honolulu. But you're probably going to see this sign and you're probably going to go in your head, they have a street out here called Like Highway. It is not Like Highway. Matter of fact, a lot of us locals here, we don't even call it Like, which is how it's actually pronounced. Like Highway, right? It's not like. We actually just call it the Like. So that's one of the ones that people always see and always bring up. And then there's some really, really long ones where you're like, not even gonna try. That's too long. Matter of fact, on the east side around the Hawaii Kai area, if you're going around the bend where you see this red road right here on this image, that's actually Kalanaani Ole Highway. All right, and if you break it down into a couple 2 or 3 letter segments, it's gonna help you out, right? Kalani Ana Ole Highway, okay? So just to help you fit in a little bit more like a local, we can pronounce these things a little bit better together. Number 3 on our list is going to be the supply shortages are real out here. And that's not just for what's kind of happening with the economy and everything at the end of 2021, right? That's in general. And so when you think about it, Hawaii does get a lot of things imported. Most of Hawaii's goods are imported, right? Not proud to say it, but Hawaii got away from a lot of their own homegrown things. Now, that's not to say we don't have any exports, because Hawaii is actually a very large exporter of petroleum and coal. But as far as agriculture and those types of things go, Hawaii used to be made up of a lot of pineapple fields, sugarcane plantation fields, and poi, taro, many other things. And we've seemed to have lost that along the way. And now Hawaii gets to import a lot of things. And this is when these things start happening at the docks, or there's weather, bad weather, hurricanes, these types of things that sort of won't allow the ships to come across or dock, then we notice some supply shortages. And these are a real thing. People start freaking out, especially when we have hurricanes or tsunami warnings. People are heading and rushing to the stores and hoarding goods and because they're scared, right? But when we have these supply shortages, this is also something that plays a factor of people rushing to the store and hoarding goods because they're worried that we won't get the next cargo ship of Matson containers or whatever it is full of goods. It's a real thing out here, so it's something you need to know and be on the lookout for, paying attention to as far as what's happening over there on the mainland when the ships are coming around. It affects us greatly of not being able to receive the goods from the mainland and other countries. Number 4 on our list is kind of a no-brainer, but if you're moving here, Hawaii has a very, very large outdoor lifestyle applied to it, and that seems like a no-brainer, right? With all the beaches, you think most people are moving here because of the beach, the tropical weather, and the fact that they want to be outside more. And when we're talking about other things that you can do other than the beach, which is the obvious one because we are on islands, there's a lot of other things that you can do, okay? There's plenty of hiking trails out here, and you do all that at your own risk. I'm not recommending you go do any of those, but there's plenty of hiking that I have done. I've taken my kids to do, and maybe you'd be considering that too. There's hikes over there on the east side. You got around Hawaii Kai, you got the Makapu'u Lighthouse Point, you got Koko Head, which is over 1,000 stairs taking you way up. Beautiful views of Hawaii Kai. Moving on around, you got, Kaneohe, Kailua. Kailua, you got the Lani Kai Pillbox. Going up to Kaneohe, plenty of hikes over there, some great waterfall hikes. You got Waihe'e Falls, a bunch of other things there. Heading up, you got Chinaman's Hat, heading up towards Kualoa Ranch and all those areas. Chinaman's Hat is up there. And something cool that a lot of people do when it's flat and it's low tide and it's not rough, a lot of people will paddleboard out to the Chinaman's Hat Island and hang out over there, which is not that far. I've done it before, pretty cool stuff. So again, outdoor activities, tons of outdoor activities to get into, not to mention if you have a boat or jet skis, all those other things. So Hawaii really does provide a very active outdoor lifestyle. It's something that I love about living here. Next thing that you need to know and really need to be aware of is the melting pot of cultures out here in Hawaii. This is something, again, that I really love and I'm happy that I grew up in, right? My son is actually Filipino and my other son is more Japanese, mixed kids, right? But really cultural diversity out here, melting pot cultures is something that I love and something that I wanted to point out to you. So we're actually going to pull up some census data from World Population Review, and I'm going to go over this data here so that you're aware of really what the population is like out here. Looking at this data right here, you can see that the actual dominant population here in Hawaii is Asian at 37.79%, according to this data and census from World Population Review. And then the next is those who identify as white, which is 24.95%. Those that identify with 2 or more races would be 23.89%, and Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander is at 10%, Black or African American at 1.83%, and other race at 1.23%. Last on the bottom, respectively, is Native American at 0.26%. As you can see with that data right there, Hawaii is a very, very mixed melting pot of cultures, a lot of variety out here. And so it's something, again, that I'm really glad that I grew up in and I appreciate it growing up, and my kids are going to grow up here too, and it's something that they're going to get to experience. So that's sort of a breakdown of the culture out here and what to expect. Number 6 on our list to help you fit in like a local is really just knowledge for you, but it's one of the questions that we get the most is how much is electric in Hawaii? Is it really that expensive? Hawaii actually ranks number 1 in the most expensive electric in the country, and with a quick Google search you can see that Hawaii actually costs more than 32 cents kilowatt per hour, highest in the nation by far, and on average we're seeing electric bills around $350 a month. Now, Hawaiian Electric Company, or HECO as we call it, right, a quick little acronym for you, HECO, they have basically monetized electric out here, and I know certain states and areas you can shop around your electric and choose who you want your electric company to be. Not necessarily the case out here in Hawaii. Now you can get solar, which is another cost and you have to qualify for and those types of things, and then you can choose to lease or buy, kind of like a car, right, but for solar. So those are the other factors that can come in and play a cost. But overall, in general, yes, Hawaii does have the most expensive electric on the island. Depending on the size of your house, the size of your family, these types of things can play a factor when it comes to you living in Hawaii and your ideal monthly budget. So again, cost of living or highest electric in the country. Number 7 on our list, and this is a pretty important one because I know how in the United States, when we refer to living in a state or being born in a state, we kind of call ourselves a Floridian or a North Carolinian, right? These types of things. Well, in Hawaii, just because you are living in Hawaii, you are not Hawaiian. And this is nothing against you or anybody else. This is more of a respect for the people and a very prideful culture, okay? So even though I was raised in Hawaii, I'm not a Hawaiian, right? And it's just a fact of the matter, okay? Again, nothing against you, but this is gonna help you fit in more like a local. So when you're living here, you don't sit here and go, well, I'm Hawaiian, and you're not, right? So very prideful thing, and it's gonna help you if you don't say that because you are not Hawaiian, even though you are living here. Again, not a dig on you, just something that you need to know for when you're thinking about living in Hawaii. Coming in at number 8 is going to be our property tax rate. And now Hawaii does have some of the most expensive cost of living and homes to buy in the United States, but favorably, we do have the lowest property tax rate in the nation at 0.28%. Now, this is by no means financial or tax advice, just showing you with a quick Google search that you can go and find that Hawaii does have the lowest tax rate in the nation. There's other variable factors that play into this as far as value of the home, zoning of the home, and a couple other things. But some good news there. This one can play a factor for you at number 9, depending on which island you're actually looking at moving to. And we're talking about the populations. And so my family and I, we actually reside on the most populous island, Oahu. And one of the next most popular islands is actually Maui. And I'm not talking about popular as far as what you see on island, I'm talking about population. And so Oahu is the most developed and built. It's a little bit overdeveloped if you ask me, but that's just my personal opinion. But let's go ahead and look at some of the populations and break down them by county. According to worldpopulationreview.com, we have the 5 counties listed right here. If you didn't know, the Hawaii main 8 islands are broken into 5 counties. Honolulu County, consisting of Oahu, does have a population, according to World Population Review, of 963,000 plus. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is Hawaii County, the Big Island. We got 201,521. Coming in right after that, we got Maui County, then Kauai County, and then Kalabao County. So if you're looking for a more nomad, off-grid lifestyle, this may help you decide on where it is that you want to live. Some of those may be Kauai or some of the other islands. Actually, Big Island has a couple small cities, but a lot of space in between too. So something that you need to know if you're considering making that move out here, a little bit of insider information like a local. Number 10, and this is for you families or parents out there that have kids in school. This is something that I don't even remember. I went to school here as a kid, and maybe I didn't realize it because I was in school and I was going, yeah, right. Now as a parent, I'm looking at it, it's like, man, you got a day off? And that's what I'm talking about. Kids out here, when they're going to school, they have a lot of days off. A lot of days off that just come out of nowhere, right? My son, like, I feel like, it feels like, it may not be necessarily true, but it feels like every other week, my son is like, Dad, I got Friday off, or Dad, I got Monday off. I'm like, what? Again? And you're gonna have a lot of days like that. So Hawaii does have a lot of breaks. There's a lot of traditional holidays out here. We have the federal holidays. We have spring break, fall break, Christmas break. They have PC days TC, teacher planning days, where the teachers are supposed to be planning out their assignments and their work and those types of things, right? I don't know, I'm not a teacher, but I feel like those happen far too often. So kids are out of school a bunch. We've got King Kamehameha Day, we got Prince Kuhia Day, we got a lot of other days celebrating a lot of events out here in Hawaii, which is pride for the state, and rightfully so. But again, just as a parent, you're like, man, you got another day off of school? What in the... So it happens a lot. Again, I didn't realize it as a kid, but something that you need to be aware of for you parents out there and getting your kids into school. Next thing that I want to bring up is travel opportunities. And yes, while we do live out here in paradise, we all still got to get away from time to time too. Island fever is a real thing. But as far as travel opportunities go, going into the airport, right? Hawaii sort of has a more older style airport, more outdoor style airport, or Honolulu airport is what I'm referring to. but easy to navigate airport, and they are adding on newer sections right now at the moment. So when we just got back, we were walking through the newer section that they're working on. But as far as where Hawaii is located, and looking at this little earth right here, we can see that Hawaii sort of sits almost as a midway point in the Pacific Ocean between Australia, China, Japan, the Philippines, everything that is going on over there, and the mainland United States. We sort of serve as a midway point. So therefore, when you're living out here in Hawaii and you've always wanted to travel the world, you actually have a better opportunity to do that with direct flights to Japan and other countries that do reside on that side of the world. So there are tremendous travel opportunities around the entire world, and maybe you can fulfill that backpacking trip that you wanted to do. Rolling in at number 12 is going to be the bad traffic out here. And I don't know what it is necessarily, as far as, because we're only so big and we do have a hub where people are going to for work and leaving, but then it can get really bad when somebody blows a tire, when somebody didn't want to put gas because they tried to ride it out, or even when you have the smallest fender bender. Traffic is just done for the day. It's messed up and it doesn't get cleaned up quickly, and then it's just ruined for that hour, whether it's in the morning and you're trying to get to work, or whether it's in the afternoon and you're trying to get home. Crazy stuff happens out here with the traffic. One time this is when I was going to school in Kaneohe, and I'm driving back because I lived on the west side. I lived in Kapolei at the time. It took me over 3 hours to get home, and that's because we have this mobile called the Zip Mobile. And what it does is it moves along this thing, and we have these cinder blocks, and it shifts the cinder blocks out, and it creates another lane for people who have 2 or more passengers, electric vehicles, motorcycles, an extra HOV lane for people to cruise faster if they know they're just going all the way to the side of town, right? So this thing broke down. The cinder blocks weren't going anywhere. We actually didn't even have anybody on island to repair the Zip Mobile. We had to fly somebody in from the mainland to repair the Zip Mobile. So it was stuck there. Traffic was nuts. It was insane. I sat through that one. So yeah, we have some really bad traffic out here. It was once ranked up there with LA and those types of cities. After having driven through LA very recently, I would say that we are not up there with LA, but we do have some bad traffic out here. Number 13 on our list is going to refer to parking stalls. I kind of mentioned parking situation in the beginning of this video. I'll give you that tip at the end of this one. But when you're looking for somewhere to rent, and maybe you're looking to live in Waikiki, something that you need to pay attention to is parking stalls. Not all condo units will come with a parking stall. If you actually look for it online, there are parking stalls for sale anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 for a parking stall. It's crazy out here. Parking in Waikiki especially is absolutely nuts. You pretty much have to pay everywhere that you do park, and sometimes those can be $6 an hour type of parking stuff. So again, when you're looking for condos, if you're looking for a condo in Waikiki, you're going to want to check to make sure it does come with a parking stall if you have a vehicle and you do need it, right? And you do need a parking stall. Now, as far as parking goes, when you go to Waikiki, what I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you're going downtown to downtown Waikiki, some of the main places that you can typically find parking for not so expensive rates are going to be at the zoo. Right? At the zoo, there's a big parking lot right out there, and it's pretty close to the Waikiki Shell. And then there's a street along the way, sort of going down the beach, that has parking stalls right there on the side. The other place is Royal Hawaiian Village. So when you're driving down Kalakaua and you're going to see the sign on the side of the road that says Royal Hawaiian Parking Garage, you can turn in there. Again, you're going to have to pay, but quick little tip here, or a little trick, is a lot of us know, right? We'll kind of slide in if we didn't eat dinner at the Cheesecake Factory because they're always busy and crazy. We kind of slide into the Cheesecake Factory and we'll either buy a piece of cheesecake for dessert, or we'll just kind of simply go up to the desk and be like, hey, we just ate, we forgot to ask for validation. Can you validate my ticket? And then we go and we leave. But quick little tip for you, again, only the locals know. Number 14, and this is especially for you pet owners to know, that Hawaii is a rabies-free state. Right, we do not have rabies in Hawaii, and one of the big reasons for that is the travel restrictions and sort of policies that you have to follow if you're moving here with a pet. We got plenty of videos on this channel helping you through that process, explaining what that process is like if you haven't already started. right? Sometimes this process can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and you're going to want to make sure that you have plenty of time to plan for it. But Hawaii is a rabies-free state. Dogs, cats, we have pet restrictions. We can't have certain pets in Hawaii. People say there are no snakes in Hawaii. There are some, but they're like water snakes. You're not just going to be out there hiking and something's going to slither past you. Not going to happen. But there are small little like tree snakes, and they're size of like an earthworm too. Okay. Last time I think I said there's no snakes in Hawaii, and somebody's like, there's the earthworm snake. I don't even think it can bite you. Just so you know, Hawaii is a rabies-free state. If you are thinking about moving here with your dog or cat, you're going to want to go ahead and watch those videos and make sure that you get the checklist that I provide and start planning out when your dog or cat is going to get to the vet, and make sure that you're on track and hitting those timelines, which is one of the biggest things, is those timelines and having the rabies antibodies before they can even travel here. So Hawaii, rabies-free state, something that you need to know. You stuck all the way around here to the end. I got a special one for you, and this is going to be some of the sayings out here. They're going to help you fit in like a local and understand what somebody's saying to you. All right, and now maybe you've seen in the movies, right? Aloha, right? Or mahalo. Aloha, it does mean hello or goodbye, but mahalo means thank you. So don't walk up to somebody and say mahalo, right? You're just telling them thank you, and they're probably gonna go, what? Some of the other things that you might need to know as far as like if you're driving, right? And I've talked about this several times, the Aloha Spirit, but when we're driving around and you let somebody pass, or somebody lets you pass, they're probably gonna stick their hand out their window and just give you a little shaka. That's just a cool man, thanks kind of thing, right? Or okay, shoots, thanks. So something you need to know there, don't be ready for that. They're not about to flip you the bird or nothing. They're saying thanks, right? Or cool. And then some of the other sayings out here too, I kind of just said it with shoots. So whenever somebody's saying bye, a lot of times they'll say, okay, then shoots. And then they'll like shaka up and they'll leave, right? So shoots is something that's kind of like either an okay or a bye. And then when people say kaden is like, okay, thanks, or okay, thank you, right? Okay, got the point. And then the next or last one is going to be decline. A lot of times when somebody's describing something and they just can't get the word or can't think of the name of it, they'll say decline. Oh, decline. And then you'll be like, what's decline? I don't know what you just said. They're talking about something, but when two people who know each other well are saying it, typically they already know what they're talking about. But if somebody talks to you and says, oh, decline, over there, decline. And then you're like, I don't know. I got no idea. So decline really means somebody just referring to something. D-A-K-I-N-E. It's actually a brand now too. But a couple little sayings for you there to help you fit in more like a local. There you go, 15 things to help you fit in more like a local. If you're thinking about living in Hawaii, right, then these are things that are going to help you sort of acclimate and become more of a local into the Hawaiian Islands communities, okay? Now, again, if you are thinking about making that move out here, you can reach out. You can reach out however you'd like to. You can send us a text. You can send us a DM. You can send us an email. Schedule your own Zoom down in the description below. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when moving to Hawaii. If you haven't already and you've made it this far and you haven't hit the like button, please go ahead and hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so you get notified anytime that I upload a new video on this channel. I mentioned some things throughout this video on this channel that we have, like the moving with pets videos. We got tons of videos on this channel talking about what it's like living in Hawaii. We got blog tour communities, all that stuff and more, and those are going to start popping up for you right now.